Journey of Heart. Chapter 1. Violet and Jasmin. In a tranquil rural village, Violet, a 26-year-old private tutor and academic writer, lived a life that was both serene and solitary. Her small home, surrounded by lush green fields, was her sanctuary where she found solace in her work and dreams of traveling to Japan. Violet's days were filled with teaching students and working on academic writing projects, a pursuit she enjoyed and provided the financial means for her dream. Meanwhile, in a bustling city mile away, Jasmin, a fourth-year business administration student, facing the repercussions of a painful breakup with her ex-boyfriend for almost 2 years. Her parents, concerned for her well-being, decided that a change of scenery might help her heal. They arranged for Jasmin to stay with her cousin Kala in the province. Chapter 2. New Beginnings. Jasmin arrived in the rural village, feeling disoriented and overwhelmed. The slower pace of life contrasted sharply with the fast-moving city she was used to. But Kala welcomes Jasmin wholeheartedly, understanding how vulnerable Jasmin is nowadays. Jasmin's loneliness was now consumed by her academic struggles as a transferred student, particularly her feasibility study, a crucial component for her graduation. Despite her efforts, Jasmin found herself stuck. The study, meant to assess a potential business venture, was riddled with challenges she couldn't seem to overcome. Sitting at a small desk in Kala's home, Jasmin stared at her laptop, frustration etched on her face. Kala entered the room, noticing her cousin's distress. "Jasmin, you've been working on that feasibility study for day and night. Is everything okay?" Kala asked, her voice filled with concern. Jasmin sighed heavily. "It's just not coming together. I feel like I'm missing something crucial, and I'm running out of time. I can't afford to fail this." Kala sat beside her, placing a comforting hand on Jasmin's shoulder. "I know you've been stressed, but don't worry. I know someone who can help you. Violet, my friend. She is not just a tutor, but also an academic writer. She graduated with your course too. She's incredible with this kind of stuff." Jasmin looked up, her eyes hopeful but skeptical. "Really? Do you think she can help me?" "Absolutely," Kala assured her. "I'll reach out to her. She's great at what she does, and she's very kind. I'm sure she can give you the support you need." Chapter 3. That Connection. When Jasmin first laid eyes on Violet, she was struck by her beauty. It was a quiet afternoon, and Jasmin had just arrived at the charming cafe near Violet's home. The cafe was warm and inviting, with cozy lighting, shelves of books lining the walls, and the soft murmur of conversations filling the air. But none of that held Jasmin's attention, not when Violet was sitting at a small table by the window, bathed in the soft glow of the afternoon sun. Violet's features were strikingly feminine, and Jasmin found herself captivated by the deep-set brown eyes that seemed to draw her in effortlessly. Those eyes, so warm and kind, held a depth that made Jasmin feel as though Violet could see right through her walls, right into her heart. Her skin had a soft, natural glow, and her long, dark hair fell in loose waves over her shoulders, framing her delicate face. Jasmin's eyes couldn't help but linger on Violet's full lips, curved into an inviting smile that sent a small flutter through her chest. The more she looked at her, the harder it became to look away. She had imagined what Violet might look like from Kala's descriptions, but she hadn't expected someone this breathtaking, someone whose beauty felt so disarming, yet so comforting all at once. "This is crazy," Jasmin whispered. She is confused, lost, and cannot understand what's happening to her thoughts. Her heart is beating fast. "Hi, Jasmin," Violet greeted her, standing up to offer a gentle handshake. Her voice was soft, feminine, and warm, with a hint of a laugh behind it. "It's nice to meet you. Kala told me about your situation. Why don't we sit and discuss what you need help with?" There was a quiet grace to the way Violet carried herself, an ease in her movements that put Jasmin around her at ease. Jasmin, still a little dazed, nodded and took the seat across from Violet. She felt a strange mix of relief and nervousness, her pulse quickening as she tried to gather her thoughts. Her eyes couldn't help but dart back to Violet's lips, the softness of her voice still lingering in her ears. "Why do I feel like this?" she thought, confused by her reaction. The cafe felt like it faded into the background, and Jasmin's focus remained entirely on Violet as she spoke. She wore a simple but elegant dress, soft and flowing, that accentuated her figure without trying too hard. Jasmin's gaze moved over the details, the delicate necklace resting just above her collarbone, the light makeup that highlighted her natural beauty. Everything about Violet seemed effortlessly feminine. "So," Violet said with a kind smile, bringing Jasmin back from her thoughts, "what's been going on with your feasibility study? Callum mentioned you were feeling stuck." Jasmin blinked, trying to shake off her distracted thoughts. "Right, yeah. I'm really struggling with it," she admitted, her voice carrying the frustration she had been holding in for weeks. "I've hit a wall, and I'm afraid I won't finish in time." Violet listened attentively, her brown eyes never leaving Jasmin's face. Something was calming in the way Violet listened to her, her head slightly tilted as if every word mattered to her. Jasmin felt herself opening up more than she had planned, her worries spilling out as Violet's gentle demeanor drew out her vulnerability. And even though the cafe was bustling with the sounds of clinking cups and soft chatter, Jasmin felt like they were in their little world. She was completely captivated by Violet, not just her appearance, but the way she made her feel. For the first time in a long while, Jasmin felt truly not alone and lonely. As they wrapped up their conversation and Violet outlined a plan for tackling the feasibility study, Jasmin couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. As they stood up to leave the cafe, Jasmin caught herself glancing back at Violet's eyes, those deep brown eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 unspoken stories. There was no mistaking it now. This feeling, this attraction was undeniable. And as Jasmin walked away, her heart raced with the thrilling uncertainty of what this connection with Violet might mean. Chapter 4: Uncharted Territories. As days turned into weeks, Violet helped Jasmin with her feasibility study, working together almost every day. Their sessions became a blend of intense focus and lighthearted moments. They would discuss the study in depth, and then, over coffee, share stories about their lives. One evening, after a particularly prolific discussion, Jasmin and Violet sat outside watching the sunset. Jasmin turned to Violet, her expression thoughtful. "What keeps you working so hard, Violet?" Violet looked out into the horizon, her eyes reflecting the setting sun. "My dream is to travel to Japan. I've always wanted to experience the culture, the beauty, and the serenity of it all." Jasmin's eyes lit up with excitement. "You know, I love Japan too. I've always wanted to explore it. What if we went together after my graduation?" Violet's heart raced. "Really? That would be amazing. I'd love that." Their conversation turned into a burst of soft, shared laughter as they talked about their future trip, which soon evolved into heartfelt laughter under the setting sun. Their connection grew stronger, their chemistry undeniable. Chapter 5: A Heartfelt Gesture. Graduation day came, and the air was filled with celebration. Jasmin had excelled, earning the highest score for her feasibility study, and her family beamed with pride. Later that night, after the festivities had quieted, she found herself on the porch of Violet's cozy home, the two of them sitting side by side. The night was calm, with the soft hum of crickets in the background, and a gentle breeze making the evening air cool and comforting. Jasmin could barely contain her excitement. Her eyes sparkled under the soft glow of the porch lights as she turned to Violet, her heart brimming with gratitude. Violet, she began, her voice bubbling with joy. I have something special planned for us. Violet, sitting cross-legged with a light blanket draped over her shoulders, raised an eyebrow and smiled curiously. Oh, what's that? She asked, her eyes soft and welcoming. Taking a deep breath, Jasmine continued, her excitement mixing with a nervous energy. My parents. They're so happy about my graduation and they want to give me a special gift. They've agreed to sponsor a trip to Japan, just like I told you. And I want you to come with me. It's my way of thanking you for everything you've done for me. You were there when I needed it the most. Violet's eyes widened and a flood of emotions washed over her. She blinked in surprise, unable to speak for a moment. Jasmine, that's incredible, she finally said, her voice trembling with emotion. I don't even know what to say. Jasmine smiled, her heart fluttering as she saw the emotions flickering across Violet's face. There was something so genuine, so raw, in the way Violet looked at her. Jasmine reached out, her hand finding Violet's, fingers lightly brushing against hers. The touch sent a small shock of warmth through her, a reminder of the deep connection that had been forming between them. You don't have to say anything, Jasmine whispered, her voice soft but filled with meaning. Just know that you've been such a huge part of my healing process. I couldn't have made it through without you, and I want us to share this experience together. Violet's gaze softened, and she felt a wave of emotion rise in her chest. For weeks now, she had been grappling with the feelings she had for Jasmine, feelings that went far beyond simple friendship. But she had kept them carefully tucked away, afraid of disrupting the delicate balance they had. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, but she kept her composure. Jasmine, you have no idea how much this means to me. I've come to care for you. So much. Her voice trailed off, the words unspoken but hanging in the air between them. She looked away for a moment, trying to hide the tears threatening to form, but Jasmine's gentle touch kept her grounded. You've been a constant light in my life. I never felt alone anymore. Violet said, her voice barely above a whisper. She glanced down at their intertwined hands, her heart swelling with a mixture of joy and a quiet, unspoken yearning. And going on this trip with you, it would mean more to me than you can ever know. The porch grew quieter as the evening darkened, stars slowly appearing in the clear sky above them. Jasmine's heart raced, feeling the weight of Violet's words. She couldn't help but smile, feeling an overwhelming sense of happiness that only seemed to grow when she was near Violet. Every moment they spent together, every conversation they shared, had deepened her feelings for Violet. Jasmine had never been this close to anyone before, never felt this kind of connection. She had caught herself looking at Violet's deep brown eyes longer than she should have on more than one occasion, getting lost in the warmth and sincerity that always radiated from them. The subtle curve of her lips, the gentle way she spoke it, all made Jasmine feel safe, understood, and drawn to her in ways that confused and excited her all at once. Violet, however, was fighting her own internal battle. She had recognized her growing affection for Jasmine long ago, but it was a quiet, patient kind of love. She didn't want to rush things, didn't want to risk the closeness they had. Yet now, sitting here with their hands intertwined, she couldn't help but wonder if maybe Jasmine felt the same way. She stole a glance at Jasmine's face, noticing the soft smile playing on her lips, and the way her eyes seemed to light up whenever she was around. Jasmine's heart was full, her smile wide. I've never felt this happy, Violet, she said, her voice soft but clear, almost as if she were letting a secret slip through her lips. I feel like whenever I'm with you, everything just makes sense. Violet's breath caught for a moment, hearing the weight behind those words. But instead of responding directly, she squeezed Jasmine's hand gently, her thumb brushing over her knuckles. I'm glad, Violet whispered, her voice tender, her feelings hidden just beneath the surface. They sat there, bathed in the quiet intimacy of the moment, both aware that something was shifting between them, but neither wanting to rush. The delicate dance of emotions and the connection they shared deepened, an unspoken promise hanging in the air. The stars twinkled overhead, and as they sat together on that porch, they knew their bond was growing stronger, one heartfelt gesture at a time.
Hey, Heart. Before we continue with Jasmine and Violet's story, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories. Your support means the world to us. Thank you.
Chapter 6. Discovering Love in Japan. Their trip to Japan was an adventure of a lifetime. As they explored the vibrant streets of Tokyo, the historic temples of Kyoto, and the serene landscapes of Hokkaido, their bond deepened. They shared sweet moments amidst the cherry blossoms and tranquil gardens, discovering a new level of closeness and affection. Their relationship blossomed as they learned about each other's dreams, fears, and desires. One night, as they stayed in a traditional ryokan, the room was bathed in the soft glow of lanterns, and the scent of tatami mats filled the air. They relaxed in a private hot spring, the warm water soothing their muscles. Violet leaned closer, her fingers grazing Jasmine's shoulder. "I never imagined this moment," Violet whispered, her breath warm against Jasmine's skin. "Being here with you in this beautiful place feels like a dream." Jasmine turned to Violet, her eyes soft and filled with affection. "It's all because of you. I've never felt this way before." Jasmine looked deeply into Violet's brown eyes and then at her parted lips. And just like that, Violet's lips touched her lips. So tender, and Jasmine couldn't control her emotions. She deepened the kiss. Violet put her arms around Jasmine's neck. She was lost in space and could not explain the sensations. This was all new to her. Jasmine was both gentle and rough. It's like riding a rolling coaster. She cannot help but hold Jasmine tighter, feel her back, her side, to touch her bare skin. Something is happening inside her that drives her wild. Their kisses became more passionate as they explored each other's bodies, the intimacy of the hot spring adding a new layer to their connection. Jasmine stopped and looked at Violet's eyes again. "Violet, do you want me to stop?" Violet shakes her head. "I want to know where these kisses lead us." Jasmine kissed Violet again, then whispered in her ears, "Just stop me whenever you feel uncomfortable." As they moved together, touching, exploring, and tasting every inch of their skin until they reached the heights of their emotions, they catch their breaths and hold each other tightly. "I love you, Jasmine," Violet whispered with tears in her eyes. Jasmine wiped the tears and kissed Violet's eyes. "I love you too. But why are you crying, Violet? Did I hurt you?" "No, I don't know. I can stop my tears. I'm sorry, Jasmine. This is my first time. No one kissed me like that. I have never been touched that way. It is so special. Thank you. I will never forget this night." Jasmine was surprised. "This is my first time with a woman, and it's indeed special, much different. But you never told me this was your first. After all, you are 5 years older than me." Jasmine teases Violet, and the night ends with smiles on their lips and hearts. During their trip, they also learned about LGBTQ+ rights in Japan. While same-sex relationships are not legally recognized, Japan has seen progress in LGBTQ+ acceptance. Some cities like Tokyo have introduced partnership certificates for same-sex couples, which, while not offering legal marriage rights, provide some recognition and benefits. However, it was clear that same-sex marriages were still not possible under Japanese national law. This fact saddened Jasmine and Violet, but it also strengthened their resolve to celebrate their special love in their own way. Jasmine gazed at Violet one evening as they strolled through a quiet Japanese garden. "Even if marriage isn't legal here, nothing can stop us from celebrating what we have, right?" Violet smiled, squeezing her hand gently. Absolutely. Legal or not, our love is real. Wondering if Jasmin planning to get them married in Japan. Chapter 7. Struggles of Love and Family. The first few months after their trip to Japan had been perfect for Jasmin and Violet. The trip had brought them closer than ever, solidifying their relationship in ways they hadn't even imagined. But soon after returning from their adventure, reality came crashing down. Jasmin had graduated, and with that milestone came new responsibilities. Her family, proud of her achievements, expected her to join their family business back in the city, far from the quaint college town where she and Violet had built their lives together. As much as she loved Violet, Jasmin knew she had to take her place in the family company. It was the legacy she'd grown up with, and now it was her time to carry the torch. One evening, after a long day of packing, Jasmin sat on the edge of the bed, her hands resting on Violet's. "This isn't what I want," she whispered, her voice heavy with sadness. "I don't want to leave you." Violet looked at her, eyes filled with understanding but also heartache. "I know, Jasmin, but this is important to your family. I can't stand in the way of that. We'll make this work. We have to." They kissed softly, but the weight of uncertainty hung between them like a fog. Long distance wasn't what they had envisioned after such a beautiful time together in Japan, but they promised each other they would try harder. In the months that followed, Jasmin's life became consumed by work. The family business was fast-paced, demanding her attention day and night. She missed Violet terribly, but there were endless meetings, conferences, and responsibilities that left her little time to visit. Meanwhile, Violet, still living in the small town where Jasmin had stayed during the last semester as a BA student, the graduation and their trip to Japan felt the strain of their separation. She missed Jasmin's presence, the quiet moments they used to share, and the closeness they had built. Phone calls and video chats became their lifeline, but they were never enough. Slowly, the distance between them began to take its toll. "I feel like we're drifting apart," Violet confessed one night over the phone, her voice strained. "I'm trying, Violet, I really am," Jasmin replied, exhausted. "But this job, my parents, they need me here." Violet understood, but it didn't make the growing loneliness any easier. Every day felt like a new challenge, trying to hold on to something that was slipping through her fingers. She knew Jasmin was struggling too, balancing the expectations of her family and their relationship, but that didn't make the ache of missing her any less painful. Finally, one sleepless night, Violet made a decision. She couldn't do this from a distance any longer. She needed to be with Jasmin, no matter what. She called her the next morning. "Jasmin, I'm moving to the city," Violet said, her voice firm. "What?" Jasmin sounded surprised. "Violet, that's a huge decision. Are you sure?" "I can't stand being away from you anymore," Violet said, her voice cracking. "I need to be with you. We can find a way to make it work together." There was a pause on the other end, and then Jasmin spoke, her voice soft. "I miss you so much, Violet." "Yes, we will face this together." "Let me worry about them," Violet replied, determined. "I'll find a job. I could do work from home with online jobs, anything. I'll build a life there. I just need to be with you." "Okay, Violet. Let me first find you a place to stay, somewhere near my workplace," Jasmin answered. Violet packed her things and moved to the city, determined to be close to Jasmin. At first, things were wonderful. They spent their evenings together, catching up on all the time they had missed. Every weekend was an adventure, rediscovering the city through each other's eyes. But it wasn't long before Jasmin's parents began to notice their growing closeness. Jasmin's mother, in particular, had always had a sharp intuition when it came to her daughter. She noticed how often Violet was around and how comfortable they were with each other, and soon whispers turned into confrontations. One evening, as Jasmin returned from work, she was greeted by her father in the study, his face stern. "We need to talk about Violet," he said, not wasting a moment. Jasmin's heart sank. "What about her?" Her father looked at her with disappointment. "We've noticed how close you've become. This is not appropriate, Jasmin. You have responsibilities here, and she is a distraction." Jasmin's mother joined in. "This isn't what we want for you, Jasmin. Violet is not the right fit for our family. You need to focus on the business and your future with children." Jasmin's frustration boiled over. "She is my future. Why can't you just accept that? She's been there for me in ways you can't even begin to understand." But her parents refused to listen, and the conversation ended in bitter silence. Over the next few weeks, the tension between Jasmin, Violet, and her family grew unbearable. Violet tried her best to keep her distance, knowing how much Jasmin was struggling with her family's disapproval, but it was hard. The love they had was undeniable, but it felt like the world was against them. "Jasmin, there's something wrong with these numbers," Violet said one evening, showing her the discrepancies. "Your uncle has been moving money around in ways that don't make sense. I think he's trying to scam the company." Jasmin's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "I've double-checked everything," Violet replied. "I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence is all here." The revelation rocked Jasmin's world. She trusted her uncle, but the facts were undeniable. Violet worked tirelessly with Jasmin to gather the necessary information and present it to her parents. When they saw the proof, they were stunned. Jasmin's father confronted his brother, and the truth came out. He had been planning to siphon money from the company, setting up a deal that would have devastated their family's business. With Violet's help, they were able to stop him before it was too late. Her quick thinking and dedication saved the company from a financial disaster. In the aftermath, Jasmin's parents were forced to reevaluate everything. They had misjudged Violet, thinking she was a distraction, when in reality, she had been their salvation. One evening, Jasmin's father called her into the study again, but this time the conversation was different. "We owe you an apology," he began, his voice heavy with regret. "We were wrong about Violet. She's shown us that she's not only loyal to you, but to this family. Without her, we might have lost everything." Jasmin's mother nodded in agreement, her eyes soft with understanding. "We're sorry, Jasmin. We didn't see what was right in front of us." Jasmin, feeling a weight lift from her chest, smiled. "Thank you. That means more to me than you know." That night, she returned to their apartment and told Violet everything. They hugged, tears of relief and joy flowing freely. "They finally see us," Jasmin whispered, her heart full. "They finally understand." Violet smiled, pulling Jasmin closer. "We did it, together." They knew the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but in that moment, surrounded by love and acceptance, they felt ready to take on anything. The night becomes so much more special, and their feelings for each other grow so deep that they cannot let their eyes away from each other, holding tightly until that kiss, that soulful kiss that deepened with their souls, reaching out, claiming each other. After 8, going back to Japan. Months passed, and Violet and Jasmin's love continued to grow. Jasmin's family, initially apprehensive, slowly warmed to their relationship, recognizing how deeply in love the two were. One evening, while they sat together on the balcony of their shared apartment, watching the twinkling city lights, Jasmin brought up a topic that had been on her mind. "Violet," Jasmin began, her voice soft yet filled with warmth, "remember our trip to Japan? It was such a special time for us, and I want to create more memories like that." But in a bigger way, Violet looked at her with a curious smile. "What do you mean?" "I've been thinking," Jasmin said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "What if we got married in Japan? A small, intimate ceremony, just the two of us in the place that brought us closer. Violet's breath caught. Are you proposing? Jasmin grinned, a mix of joy and nervousness. Yes, Violet. I'm asking you to marry me. Then take out a small red velvet box and open it. A pink diamond ring. Tears welled in Violet's eyes as she nodded, barely able to speak. Yes, she whispered, 1,000,000 times yes. They embraced under the night sky, filled with joy and excitement for the future. But tonight they made love with tenderness, taking slow touches while their tongues were dancing close slowly. Their hands explore, finding what will make them lost in this world. Soon after, they began planning their wedding. As they researched more about same-sex marriages in Japan, Tokyo is their only choice that offers partnership certificates that provide certain legal benefits to same-sex couples, including the ability to rent apartments together or visit each other in hospitals. Violet and Jasmin decided that although they could not legally marry in Japan, they would still celebrate their love with a symbolic wedding ceremony. They applied for a partnership certificate in Tokyo, knowing that while it wasn't the same as a legal marriage, it was a step toward recognizing their relationship in the country they had grown to love. Their special day arrived, and they found themselves back in Japan, this time in a tranquil, traditional Shinto shrine surrounded by lush green gardens. Cherry blossoms bloomed around them, filling the air with their sweet scent. Violet wore a stunning white kimono, while Jasmin opted for a more modern, elegant dress. They stood under a torii gate, symbolizing their transition into a new life together. Despite the legal challenges, the ceremony felt profound and meaningful. The shrine priest, supportive of their union, performed the blessings, and a handful of close friends and Jasmin's parents gathered to witness the intimate event. As they stood before the priest, Jasmin and Violet held hands, their hearts full of love. I've never felt more at peace, Jasmin whispered, her eyes locked on Violet's. You're my home, Violet replied, her voice filled with emotion. No matter where we are, I'm happy as long as we're together. They exchanged their vows with sincerity and love. I vow to support you, cherish you, and love you through every challenge, every joy, and every moment in between, Violet said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. And I vow to stand by your side, to grow with you, and to honor the love we've built together. Jasmin whispered, her voice catching with emotion. With the sound of wind rustling through the trees, they kissed to seal their vows. Cherry blossom petals drifted around them, like nature's own confetti celebrating their union. After the wedding ceremony, the couple with their families and close friends celebrate in Shibuya's Cerulean Tower Tokyo Hotel with its panoramic views of Tokyo and sophisticated decor. It's perfect for an urban, modern reception. When Violet and Jasmin are alone in the ryokan they went to after Jasmin's graduation, Jasmin looks at Violet intensely. Violet feels something in the way Jasmin looks at her. Jasmin, is there something wrong? Asked Violet. You make me feel something I could not pinpoint. Jasmin touches Violet's shoulders. Violet, remember our first time? Particularly when you cried nonstop? Of course, how can I forget that, Jasmin? Violet replied. Well, I wish to do something tonight. Something first again that I want your cry again with bliss. And what is it? Violet whispered. I don't know how to start, but I will be so gentle and slow for you, if what? Violet looked so curiously at Jasmin. If you spread your legs and let me taste you, Jasmin answered. Violet's eyes widen, she grasps. Jasmin, you are so naughty. Suddenly, Jasmin kissed her, touching her back, removing her clothes patiently, caressing her slowly. And Violet could no longer stand. Jas, the bed is right there, but Jasmin pushes her on the wall. I want to worship you, Violet. Let me be on my bended knees. Violet was lost. There's no words to argue with Jasmin. She just feels every touch, every kiss. Jasmin is taking her time, her fingers and tongue trailing together like she is a roadmap. And then she finds her left leg on Jasmin's shoulder. Their eyes met, and Violet could not move, anticipating what Jasmin would do next. Jasmin never took her eyes away from Violet, and then she planted tiny kisses on Violet's center, inhaling. Violet moans, holding onto the walls, gripping anything that can keep her standing. Jasmin widens her legs, testing her tongue on Violet's femininity slowly, playing that small pearl. Violet is out on Earth, and everything seems dark. All she can feel is Jasmin's tongue on her, bringing her to a different height of ecstasy. Violet doesn't know what else to do but moan until she can't take it anymore. She's bursting. Soaring high. Jasmin, please stop. It's a never-ending orgasm. Violet screamed. Jasmin stopped. She stood and embraced Violet. I am not yet done, you know, Jasmin whispered. Jasmin, you are too much, Violet whimpering. But my fingers, Violet, I want them inside you. Oh, Jasmin, you are driving me crazy. Violet now smiling shyly. Jasmin starts kissing Violet again, but Violet stops her. Jas, Violet looking straight into Jasmin's eyes. Can we do it on the bed? My knees are weak. I can't feel my bones now. Jasmin smiles. I thought you would not let me have you. You can do all you want, Jas, but not standing, please, Violet whispers in Jasmin's ears. Their journey together had brought them to a place of love, acceptance, and hope for a future where all couples, regardless of gender, could marry legally in any country. Until then, they would continue to celebrate their love, knowing that it was the most powerful force in their hearts.
Thank you, heart. Sweet dreams. Till next time, moi.